Right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Elite 100. All the smiling faces. I love it, love it, love it. If we could get you all to pop your cameras on, that would be awesome. And why don't we, as always, let's start with some wins. Who's got some amazing wins or even some simple wins they want to share? Mr. Len, always, always, always. What do you got, brother?
So my win today is very simple. I'm always listening or reading something, and I came upon something today that made me think, and it's only appropriate that it came in to my ears on a Tuesday. My win is the fact that I'm here with all of you. My win is the fact that I found the Elite 100 because I get something from every one of you. Totally different, a lot of common stuff, but totally different with everybody. And so my win today was the quote that said, let's not think about what we get, let's think about what we become. And, Brian, you do so much for all of us, both on a spiritual and awareness level, but you also do it on a financial level. And so for that, I'm very appreciative, but it's not about what we're getting. It's about what we all are becoming. So that's my super win for the day.
Oh, I love that. I love that. We were on the Mindset Masters the other day, and Bill Rogers, he's not in the elite yet, but he will be. He went from Mindset Masters to TIR to Inner Circle, and he's rapidly approaching Elite 100. He's on all the things. And Lenny, I've seen you join all four all week for multiple weeks in a row as well.
Absolutely.
And people, I asked him, like, why do you come? And he's like, I really understand. I understand the purpose of giving, showing up to give and not showing up to receive. And it's a fine point, but it's true. And in a mastermind, we're really supposed to be showing up to give. We all know that you end up getting from that in ways you can't imagine. But so I love and appreciate you for that, brother. Matt, what about you, bud?
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I like you said, Brian, tons and tons of wins. I think the biggest one is I had made a decision a couple of weeks ago when I was at Dave Van Hoos's event that I was going to start a podcast because a lot of people were, looking at it's like, I want to be on a podcast. So we're getting the wheels in motion with that. And one of the gentlemen that I'm going to be running that with is actually, he flew in here last night. So for the rest of the week, we're going to be masterminding around that, getting the structure put together and getting into some co-creation. So I'm pretty fired up right now.
That is amazing. And I actually have a world-class expert in podcast creation. This is what these people do. We call poditize. They are like one of the world's best, if not the best, at helping people create, monetize, broadcast, host, the whole thing. So if you text me, I will connect. Your name is Tracy. And I mean, they crush it globally. And a lot of their clients are crushing it globally from the podcast arena. So I can connect you with that.
Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely, Brian. Val, what about you? What's good?
So I have a couple of wins. First and foremost, I am very thankful and grateful that my Frenchie had her surgery. It was successful and she is walking on her knuckles, but she's walking. So she's doing really good. She thinks she's 2 years old still. Well, she's only 4, but she doesn't realize that she's paralyzed on her back end. And
oh, geez, I didn't know that.
She walks like you, Brian, when you had a couple many drinks, she's kind of off to the side. No, just kidding. So that's one win. Second win is I just hit one of close to my goal. I got 5 more to go, but I released 20 pounds.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
Super excited about that. And then as of next Monday, my whole view is going to look like my background.
Permanently or?
Checking off a bucket list.
Oh, nice. Wow. A lot of good stuff going on. I love it. Yeah, Chris has about 1,400 Frenchies. So I know he just got 2 more. So it's a lot of Frenchies here represented in the Elite 100. So awesome.
Yeah, Chris, you got that IBDD.
Only winners have Frenchies.
Only winners have Frenchies. Love it. Awesome. Let's get into it. Chris, would you mind leading us off on the mastermind principles if I bring them up?
Sure.
You have that angelic DJ voice.
That pillow talk. All right. I release myself to the mastermind because I am strong when I have others to help me. I believe the combined intelligence of the mastermind creates a wisdom far beyond my own. I understand that I will more easily create positive results in my life when I am open to looking at myself, my problems, and opportunities from another person's point of view. I decide to release my desire totally in trust to the mastermind, and I am open to accepting new possibilities. I forgive myself for mistakes I've made. I also forgive others who have hurt me in the past so I can move into the future with a clean slate. I ask the mastermind to hear what I really want, my goals, my dreams, and my desires. And I hear my mastermind partners supporting me in my fulfillment. I accept. I know, relax, and accept, believing that the working power of the mastermind will respond to my every need. I am grateful knowing this is so. Dedication and covenant. I now have a covenant in which it is agreed that the mastermind shall supply me with an abundance of all things necessary to live a success-filled and happy life. I dedicate myself to be a maximum service to the world and my fellow human beings, to live in a manner that will set the highest example for others to follow, and to remain an open channel of God's will. I go forth with a spirit of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy. Amen.
Amazing, you handsome bastard. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Lenny goes very, very deep. I think he still reads those every single day, like word by word, just really honing in on what we're saying in this. Those are good to read and sort of study and listen to what the principles are saying, because that's, especially in the Elite 100, we are a mastermind. We come to serve. We are looking to remain an open channel of God's will. That's what we're doing here. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get going. Yesterday, a lot of you saw in the chats, and hopefully you guys pay attention to those chats, because it's not just fun and games. We post tips and things and news and all kinds of stuff. And we got I got some inside, or not inside, but some information from one of the guys in the inner circle who's a crypto trader, is up on things. He's like, hey, did you see what's happening with the FTX brokerage? I was like, no, what's up? But that alert, I sent it to you guys immediately. And I said, you might want to get, if you have any funds on there, you might want to get them off of there, just because anytime there's news, and I don't know what's going to happen, but apparently as of today, they've halted withdrawals. And I don't think they're collapsing, but it's just one of those things. So I just want to talk a little bit about the education and the awareness of the crypto space and brokerages and how you should be using them and not. And, you know, we have some people here. I know Michael's very up on this, who are, feel free to chime in. But you guys should not be leaving large sums of money on any crypto exchange, right? And I don't think any of you are, but if you are, you don't want to do that, because a little bit of bad news, or if a coin goes bad or there's a takeover, they can freeze. You can get your assets freezed, and on a rare case, I've seen exchanges blow up and go away, right? So you really want to just use the shift. Go ahead, Michael.
I was going to say, if you read the terms and conditions on these exchanges now, a lot of them have redone it to say, like, if they go bankrupt, then they can use your funds. And so they can now lock up your funds. I'm sure you can go after them, but it'd be hard to go after a company of that magnitude. And so what they do is, you know, there's a saying, if not your keys, not your crypto, meaning if you give the money to even Coinbase or FTX or Binance or Gemini, whatever it is, you're custodying it with them, meaning they technically have it. And it's just like a bank, right? They have full control. So if you're going to leave money on something, it needs to be decentralized, like MetaMask, or cold storage. Those are the only two places. Like if it's a large sum of money, just cold storage. If it's 10, 20 grand, right, that you maybe need for things moving around, and I leave it on MetaMask. It's not a problem. And I think we made a video for everyone on how to do MetaMask as well in Quantum Capital. So if anyone needs help, we can get that video to you. But yeah, just for the record, don't put it on these exchanges, because they actually have full control of your money.
And it's, you know, it's kind of a necessary evil, because the only time you should be really using exchanges is when you're changing currencies, or you're going into USD, like a wire transfer back to your bank for a monthly withdrawal. And it is part of the deal. You do need to go there for a short period of time to wire it back. But I use MetaMask as well, and we do have videos on that. So and we were able to jump on with Lenny, and they had a chunk on there. They were in the middle of an exchange. That's all. It wasn't being held there, but we jumped on really quick, pulled it off. But just pay attention to the chats, because I get a lot of intel from a lot of different people, even outside this group. And I always post it there. And feel free to do the same. If you guys see something, posted there. It's just the game we're all playing. So another thing I recommend is, obviously don't have all your eggs in one basket with these investments we have. I'm a huge fan of diversification. We're making hand over fist money in all of them. Some are more than others, but it's so easy to let one get really, really heavy and without rebalancing. So again, I'm not a financial advisor, do what you want, but I like to diversify to build the multiple buckets. So just in case something happens, that's all.
Brian,
yeah.
Question. So in the future, if we want to do withdrawals, should we just like give you the address to the MetaMask wallet instead of the FTX?
Well, the only thing, no, you'll need an exchange because MetaMask is only like USD and USDT, or USDC and USDT. It has some other coins, but you can't wire transfer out.
Okay, gotcha.
You are going to have to use like Gemini or even FTX or Binance or Coinbase for the wire transfer part of it. You just want to minimize how long you're exposed is the best way I could say it.
Right now, Coinbase or Binance would be your best choices because those are the two largest companies. But then again, you just send the money there and then get it off the exchange.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also right now, there's a way on Coinbase. We have a video for that too. Whenever you guys are sending, it doesn't matter where you're sending money to, right? You send the wire from your bank to Coinbase. We can show you in 30 seconds how to save about 50% on fees before you transfer it back out, which if you guys know, they charge you about 1.5%. So then you now pay about 0.5%. So it's nice. I mean, if you on 100 grand, you save $1,000. It's nice for 30 seconds of your time to save $1,000.
Michael, do you have that video that you could put in the Elite 100 group?
I do. And then if anyone has questions, let me know because it might not understand how to do it. But yeah, I can post it in the group.
Okay. Yeah, it's good to any way we can save money. And that's the power of a mastermind, like sharing technology, sharing things as we go. So
Michael, what about this Kraken?
Sorry, I'm on mute. I'm not sure about Kraken. I've never used Kraken. I try to stick to my goal. I think that sticking with the largest companies would be best. Binance and Coinbase are the biggest by far. Binance has the most liquidity of anyone. That's why BUSD is a great stable coin because it's backed by 99% cash. Same with USDC, which is owned by a subsidiary of Coinbase. So those are the two. And I still wouldn't leave a ton of money on them, but their money, you can use money back and forth. Gemini's been great too because it's backed by the Winklevoss twins. But right now, with everything going on, they started putting in the terms of service that they're allowed to hold your money if they go bankrupt. So now we would start, I wouldn't leave large sums of cash on there.
I see. Thank you, Michael.
Sure.
Dan, go ahead.
A key distinction about MetaMask is it's a decentralized exchange. With all the others we've been talking about are centralized, which means they do reporting to the IRS, to other agencies. And also MetaMask is much more than just USDT. It's an Ethereum-based platform, but you can also connect to other networks, Polygon and others. So it actually is pretty robust and can cover a lot of coins, but know that it's decentralized. No one's really tracking that one.
You can't do wire transfers to US currency is the other part.
No, it's not connected to any banks.
Yeah. So
only to other exchanges.
It's anonymous. It's almost like a VPN for the internet. It's anonymous. There's no, So it's a neat way to move coins to coins, or like going from even Coinbase to there to FX winning or something, like a nice in between, super fast. So it has its purpose. So I guess my point is to get educated on it. We'll give you guys videos and tools, and like I said, it's all the game that we're playing in. So awesome. Any other questions on that? Cool. Well, I wanted to kind of go back to basics today with everybody, and I want everybody to pull out your goal card and hold it up.
Wow.
Ah.
One of that ones.
Chris, that's an invisible one. That's okay, Kevin. It's just a point. This is not anything other than, it's easy in the Elite 100 to forget the basics of way back when you joined the Matrix and TIR and created gold cards. And the whole point of this is to always have it with you. It's a subconscious thing when it's in your pocket, right? And the gold card is designed for your subconscious mind, right? It's a set of directions. It's like, and instead of jumping in a cab and saying, I want to go east, you're jumping in a cab and saying, this is the address. This is the exact address I'm going to. And it wouldn't matter if it was physical or financial or relationship. That doesn't matter. It's just really understanding what this little tool is for and why we have it. Right. So the purpose of this is really for your subconscious mind. We're all cybernetic mechanisms. We have this operating system that we can program. And one of the key ways that Bob found in all his years of research was to have a written goal that you carry around with you, and that you read it 10 times in the morning and 10 times at night. So just answer yourself that, and you don't have to answer it out loud. Are you reading this 10 times in the morning, 10 times at night? I just really want to get back to the simple basics, because what we're actually doing here is not difficult. It's so simple, most people miss it. And we think that there's some advanced, crazy thing to get in harmony with God. It's really not. It's really super simple and super easy. Dan?
I just wanted to quickly share something that I discovered a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you can see my phone.
What's that little message at the top there? Yeah.
Yeah, it's an app called I Am.
Oh.
And you can key in your own goals or affirmations, and you can have it same one stay there all day, or it can rotate on a periodic basis. But it's kind of a cool way to keep that on your mind, just like a goal.
It's awesome. You can have it pop up I have mine pop up every hour. Chris Patterson
me too.
showed me it. Yeah.
Can you put that in the chat, in the WhatsApp chat?
Will do.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. No, I'm gonna use that too. I like the idea of that, because we look at our phone a million times a day, and even if you don't read it, your subconscious catches it. That's the key to this. The whole key to this is when you have this in your pocket and you put your hand in your pocket, it's a little electrical volt, right? A little charge right to your subconscious, reminding you where you're going. Peggy?
Great reminder. So I have a question, Brian. When you put your goal on your goal card, do you say not the how, but like, I'm so happy and grateful now that I effortlessly serve 20 new clients a month with ease and grace.
Sure.
Is that enough?
Sure.
Or do I need to have more?
It's just, what would Peggy love? The one thing that I don't do is, and I used to do this, by the way, for the first part of my career here. I would specifically say X amount from this company, X amount from this company. So I wouldn't say I serve 20 clients with thinking and a result, and it has to be this, right?
Right. That was my question.
Yeah. You could serve 20 clients in a whole way that you're not even thinking of yet. And that is from reading to be an open channel of God's will. That changed my everything. I used to be very specific, like very left brain about it. Now it's just, I don't care if I win the damn lottery, which is up over $1 billion right now in Florida. I'm just an open channel of God's will, multiple revenue sources, and a calm, confident, heavenly. So you might say serving in excess of 20 people in multiple ways in a calm, confident, heavenly manner. So you guys know I'm heavy on the left side in physics, right? So words are sound, and sound is energy. And energy out, energy back. It's a basic law of the universe, cause and effect. Light switch on, light expresses from a bulb. So that's why Bob chose specific words. And we went through this before, right? I am so happy and grateful. I am is saying that you are God, you are a creator. Happy is a high vibration. We're grateful for what is done, right? So you're saying I'm a creator in a high vibration, and this is done. It's just, you're just demanding and getting in harmony with God, with the universe, to co-create whatever it is you're looking to build your C-type goal. And that's why, so at the end, I say in a calm, confident, heavenly manner, because I don't want it to be in a chaotic, 1 foot in the grave, 80-hour-a-week manner, right? So I did all that part at the end, but I'm like, well, how do I want it? I want ease and flow. I'm doing a lot less now than I used to. And my whole wheel is expanded in all areas. And like, I don't do a lot of things. Can't remember the last time I did something that I didn't love. Even we were supposed to go to a mastermind this week and drive over there 4 hours. We're getting hit with a hurricane. I'm like, I'm not, Lord, same thing. I'm not driving 4 hours in the rain. Like, I don't need to do that. My old self would have probably done it because it's business and you got to do it. I'm like, well, that doesn't sound fun at all. Like, fuck that. 4 hours in the rain on the way over, 4 hours. Right. It just didn't sound fun. So
Right. No, that's really helpful. And for me, the more I study, we're listening to, what's the name of the book we're listening to, Dan? We drove to Southern Utah.
It's called The Wisdom of the Console. It's a console. It's a channeled text, kind of
It's
like
like
Abraham.
Abraham ask. And they make it very clear in there that it's done. As soon as you ask, it's done as far as they're concerned. And for me, this journey, the part of the journey I'm on now is really surrendering to the how it shows up. And like you said, just following my heart. So my financial goal is $1 million a month. And then I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? And how is the business tie into that? And how? And that gets into the not fun energy. So, but I also feel like there's this fine balance between staying in the intention of it and the vibration of it and the openness, as you said, and the receiving of it versus the left side of my brain, which is also very active and I think good, but letting it, as Bob used to say.
This was a challenge for me in the early days as well, because engineers, we need to know, right? But when Bob said, if you knew how, you already would be doing it, I was like, holy shit, is that powerful? And from my own evidence, the last 10 years went from 2 revenue streams to like 33 now. 20 or 21 of them in the last 12 months though. So 9 years for the first ones. Now I could have never have said how that was going to happen. I just, no way. I didn't know it, half the people. I didn't understand trading. I didn't even know the language. It's like, so I'm a living example. Like, forget the how, guys. Just what would you love, and being open channel of God's will. So this is only one piece, though. This is actually the body piece of it, even though we're using the subconscious mind, right? Spirit, intellect, and body. And when you're reading this, you quite likely will get into the spiritual state if you're feeling it and praying on it, things like that. But it's also kind of a mechanical thing. So the next thing I want to say to you guys is, vision boards and vision books. My vision book's right over here. And you guys should all have a vision book from the Matrix, right? But ask yourself, who has that populated and filled out with pictures? So most, it looks like, don't. If you don't have a vision book, message Valerie and she'll get you one. You should all have one. So a couple of new members, you might not have one yet. I created that from traveling, right? I used to have, in my old office in Massachusetts, I had 4 foot by 8 foot vision boards, and I had 3 of them, like 3 walls of vision, like your mind, and some of it was strategy and some of it was pictures. There's no right or wrong to it. But when I started traveling, I'm like, well, now what the hell do you do? Like, where do I get that visual stimulation? So I'm like, I came with the idea. I'm like, I just 8.5 by 11, put them in plastic sleeves. And I have all these visuals, and most of you guys have seen my vision book. I have a composite image page with myself and all the, for my self-image, and just pieces that I want to pull from different people. Obviously, Bob's on there, Ray Dalio, one of the most successful investors ever. And it took a lot of energy for me to create that, right? So energy out, energy back. And then the pictures. So my old lake house that Matt and Yun now have, it's actually still in the book. I left it there as a reminder, because there is no such thing as time or space in spirit. That is how I got that house. It sat on my board for 1.5 years, and it wasn't for sale, right? And everything I put in that book, slowly but surely, is just pop, 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 pop. So I want you guys to get back to basics, and you don't have to believe it. Just don't not believe it. Try it for 1 year. It's a neat thing to carry around with you. And it's also neat when you're reading your goal to flip through the book. Right? A picture is worth 1,000 words. Think about that. And I always give the example of the caveman days with the writings and drawings on the wall when they drew the big hunt, right? They didn't go hunt and then draw it. They drew the hunt trying to call it into existence. This supersedes all of what we know. We think in pictures, and Bob always talks about that, right? The picture on the screen of your mind. So when you have, you know, the house or the charity or the vacation or the picture of the family or lean, me and you know, I Photoshop some of this stuff, right? If it's your head on somebody else's body, you holding hands with your soulmate, if you don't have one yet, whatever that is, just please, please, please create a vision book. Just try it. It's a neat thing to, oh, there you go. Ara's got his right there. Yeah. So it's a neat thing though, right? To have that. And I always have it open right here and I bring it with me when I travel. And now that's going to get you into the spiritual state, the fantasy, the imagination, which is super, super powerful, right? We want to get into that playful, childlike state. That's really what I've boiled down over time. You're looking to get back into like childhood thoughts, not childish thoughts, but childlike playfulness. We're just playing with energy here, right? And we know from the, you know, hundreds of books that we read that consciousness moves energy into form. Really think about that. Energy doesn't move itself into form. This phone didn't create itself. A pizza doesn't just appear. Somebody has to think about and consciously move nothing into form, right? So that's what your goal is. And the only variable is time. So if you're not getting involved emotionally with your goal every day, it's just going to take longer. And if you get emotionally involved with the opposite of your goal, fear and doubt and worry, oh, why hasn't it happened yet? Why is it not working? Well, COVID is going to tank everything. Boy, these interest rates are going to clap everything. Now you're actually going backwards. You're not attracting, you're repelling the energy that would be moving into form consciously. That makes sense? So there's reasons why we do this, but you don't want it to be heavy. You know, you don't want it to be a heavy thing. I've got to read my goals. No, it should be part of your amazing, glorious, wonderful morning routine that you just love. You know, in my opinion, is to create a morning routine that you just love. Not that you have to do, but that you get to do. It might involve exercise. I feel it should involve studying, should definitely involve meditation, because that's the most powerful thing we can do. And then playing around with your goal card or your vision book. Makes sense? And the last thing that probably, I'm guessing a lot of you might not have done this yet, is the life script. So who here has a life script that they listen to every day? So that's even a lot less, right? So lesson 2 in thinking the results is what? It's the knowing doing gap, right? Closing the knowing doing gap. In my opinion, the life script is the most powerful thing that anybody could ever do towards rewiring your subconscious mind to make your body achieve the goal that you want. I haven't found anything more powerful than that. And it was taught to me by somebody who could just manifest millions like this, Peggy McCall. She is a multi-million-dollar machine. She's called herself a money-making machine. And she's not all about the money. She just makes a shit ton of it. She loves helping people. She loves creating, loves starting from scratch, like, you know, just constantly blowing through new barriers. But that life script is called the actor's technique, right? And if you guys remember Heath Ledger, and I've said this a million times, but I'll say it again, the young actor from Batman, you know, he committed suicide during his role as the Joker. And he was reading a script of this dark, depressed, sinister character. And from what I understand, he just maintained that role the whole time he was acting that out. So why does a 28-year-old, you know, gorgeous guy with a girlfriend, kid, like money, why does somebody like that commit suicide, right? Well, if you read a script over and over and over and over again, you're literally building in your subconscious mind to drive the body to take action. So it's called the actor's technique. If you guys have read the book by Stella Adler, great book, it explains a lot about this, but your life script is that, right? So in the early days when I was doing my first life script, I just had a notepad on my phone. I think I've even sent it to a lot of you guys as an example. And I would just expand on it all. Anytime I get an idea, it's like, boy, I love that, you know. And I did some things on health and spirituality. The best way I can say it now is to look at the wheel of life and then create the affirmations in each area. Business, income, relationship, health, spirituality, philanthropy. And you literally just, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm maybe donating in excess of $1 million a month to world charities, worthwhile charities, something like that. Just create some affirmations along that. So the first part of what I do is a series of affirmations in gratitude, right? An attitude of gratitude. And when I first got into this material, I didn't really know what gratitude was. I thought it was more of a religious thing, to be honest. Then Bob just educated me on what it is. No, it's looking for what's good. It's acknowledging to the universe that you're grateful for what you have and you'd like more of it. So it's an energy thing. It's a frequency thing. But we're usually grateful for what is. We're not usually grateful for the future, although we should be. But most people are, man, I'm so grateful I'm healthy, right? I'm so grateful I finally got this house or whatever that is. So developing an attitude of gratitude is something for me that, again, when I started working with Bob, he's like, just every morning, write out 10 things you're grateful for. Little notepad. Write your goal 10 times, 10 things you're grateful for. And he also said, send love to 3 people that are bothering you. I didn't do that because I'm like, well, nobody's bothering me. So I was trying to build that paradigm too. But I did the attitude of gratitude, 10 things you're grateful for. And reading your goal with emotion though, right? To build a new paradigm, it's the spaced repetition of emotionalized ideas. Spaced repetition, right? Light switch on, consistent energy flow will get the bulb to express light. Flicking the switch up and down, it's going to inconsistent result. So that's why it's every morning and every night and a healthy routine that you love. And that's why the repetition, right? So I do a section on gratitude. I talk about God and being connected to God, spirituality for sure. I have a whole section on business and my list of demands there. And then I end with I am statements. And I say, I am Ray Dalio. I am Bob Proctor. I don't want to be those people. I right away know the key traits of those people that I want to absorb in my psyche. Does that make sense? And the last thing I say is I am God. And that's not blasphemy, it's awareness. And I'm not saying I am the God, but I am a creator is what I'm saying. So Chris, you have your hand up, but who else has questions on any of this? Because I really want to get back to basics. We've been in this group for a long time together, and it's a little shocking, right? To see how many don't have vision books and life scripts. Most of you have a goal card. It's an easy thing, right? So there's an effort. But I just want you to try this for a while, 6 months or 12 months. Chris, go ahead.
So I was having a challenge putting together the life script myself. So I created a template for me, which I then shared with my community. And I just shared it with all of you. So if you go into the chat, you'll see my docs there. But I literally modeled what Brian was talking about, and I cut it into sections. So the first section is gratitude, and then it goes into the wheel of life, all those sections. But I made it very, very easy for you guys to fill it out. I had a professional athlete working with me. He did it in 2 hours. So no excuses. We can do this.
No, I'm going to put it in the WhatsApp chat, guys, as well. That way the cool thing about WhatsApp, whenever you guys have something, is we can always find it again. It stores all the docs and the links and the things. So I'm going to post it there. But thank you for taking the time to do that. And thank you for sharing it as well.
No problem. Just the only thing I ask is please make a copy of it because it's right on my drive. But so just make a copy before you start it. Otherwise, you'll overwrite my template. So thank you, guys.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. I think you can make it read only or something, but we'll figure it out. We're gonna doctor that thing up.
I downloaded it already. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome, guys.
Who else has any either tools or things to help with either making the vision book, like the way you printed pictures, or how you created your life scripts? Anybody else have any links or tips or tricks?
I have one. So I was just with you earlier this morning, and you noticed it, right? It's so for me, I haven't used a goal card in a while, only because I realized I was never looking at it during the day. I try not to put things in my pocket, so therefore I'm not reaching in them. So I was like, what else can I do to be reminded of something all day? And for example, like if you ever, let's say you have to go to the post office today, right? You ever leave the house and you realize you left whatever it is that you were going to ship right? Little things like that. So the easiest way to remember things is to put them by something else that you always will get. So long story short, if you need to mail something today, you go put it by your keys, because you're not going to leave without your keys, right? So you put things like that. So what else do you use all day? I use my phone a lot. I text all day. So I realize that if I'm texting, I'm using my thumbs. So I realize if I put little, I don't know if anybody can see that.
Yeah, we can see it.
Right. Little, right. And it's whatever reminds you of something. So for me, if I'm always looking at my thumbs all day, then I put a B on the left side and an R on the right side. And the B is for Bob and the R is for Ray Dalio. So one is personal and one is business. And so whenever something happens or a text comes through or anything like that, I mean, my hands are normally within eyesight. I always think, what would Bob do in a personal situation, right? What would Bob tell me? Anything like that, right? This the B, it just brings Bob's energy to me. And then the R is Ray Dalio. So in business, what would he do? So that to me is a different way of, you know, it's not so much I'm so happy and grateful now that, but to me, if I'm replicating what Bob would do and what he would tell me, you know, which he would always just say, what does Michael want? It reminds me to keep thinking that, which is my goal. And then with Ray Dalio is I want to have the habits of someone like that, because people create habits, habits create your future. So to me, if I'm constantly thinking from the state of Bob or from the state of Ray Dalio, I'm going to go in that direction. So to me, that's been a lot more powerful because I'm utilizing it all day long because I can't get away from it.
I love that. And I saw those on your hand. I'm like, why don't you tattoo those on there? They might change, huh?
Yeah.
Dan, did you have your hand up or somebody else had it?
I did have my hand up, but I was going to mention my Mind movie, but I just posted it in the WhatsApp chat, so you can take a look at it.
Was that something you created, or is it a process?
There's a tool you can purchase at mindmovie.com, but yes, I created a 7-minute video, which I don't listen to every day, but you know, a couple times a week, and it kind of gets my juices flowing in the morning.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. And it's not, you know, I'm just giving you guys what I do, what Bob has passed on, things like that. I think the idea is to figure out what you love and the things that can just remind you of where you're going on a daily basis, you know. But like I said, the life script to me, it's so powerful once you do it. Maddie, what do you do? I know you've changed a lot of your like morning routines and things and how you process information. I'd be curious to kind of hear what you're doing these days, because I know it's probably completely different. It's light and fun and airy, from what I understand.
Yeah, we're on my fairy wings over here. I've always been a fan of the life script. Honestly, that always stuck with me. I still do that avidly. That's probably my number one thing.
Oh wow. Okay, so yes,
yeah.
You're less mechanics with goal cards and stuff, but more spiritual.
Yeah, and then one thing I've done the past year is I create intentional time to communicate with the spirit of my business, which is kind of a new thing that's came to me, which I got from Abraham Hicks, how she communicates with her spirit team and channels them here on planet Earth. I kind of took that concept and look at that as like I have a spiritual business team up there that's wanting to work through me and wanting to communicate with me. And so how can I create time during my day to allow their wisdom to come through me and receive that and then take inspired action based off of that? So that's something that I've been doing the past year, which for me, like I'll get the spirit of my business communicates with me the most when I'm by water. So by like a river, sitting by river on walks, I'll get downloads, I'll get ideas. In the shower, I'll get ideas. So I do just intentionally make time to receive wisdom from what I call the spirit of my business, which has been really fun and really cool, because it's like, okay, my human doesn't know all the things, but my spiritual self does, and they can see light years ahead of me, and I can't in my human body. So how can I surrender to that and make time to listen to that and take action based off of that?
Love it. Yun, what about you? Do you have morning rituals, evening rituals? How do you keep your body reminded of your spiritual goals?
My big thing is meditation and also sitting in silence. And before I used to think it was the same thing. And the more that I practice, it's absolutely not. And the sitting in silence, I believe, is so, so, so powerful, where you're completely connected and everything is just, so that is a definite must for me, like twice a day at a minimum. Sometimes I go in the middle of the day and it happens like up to 4 times a day. I do a lot of walking meditation too, which I think is extremely helpful.
Okay. Show me who studied and practiced transcendental meditation. I think we got a couple on, just a few.
I was going to touch on, but I can't raise my hand on the phone. Sorry,
yeah, no,
to interrupt. There's no raise your hand button. But I was going to touch on what Yoon said with, and also what you just said. So when I was talking about the R for Ray Dalio said his #1 thing that contributed to his success is transcendental meditation. They said, well, how often do you do it? He said, always, every morning, but depends. If I'm having a really hard day, I do it twice a day. So the busier his day gets, the harder it gets, the more he's meditating. And yesterday was a day like that for me. And I did it in the morning, and then I took time away from everything to do it again in the evening. And it was just, it's mind blowing. But again, that goes back to kind of my life script of wanting to be more like Ray Dalio. So I started figuring out what are his habits with his book Principles. He literally, you have a 70, I think he's 75. You have a 75-year-old man who blew up his first hedge fund and then built the largest hedge fund in the world with $4,000 from his dad, right? He was so broke at 34, he lived at home. And so you can read his principles and follow his habits. So that's one of his habits. So I adopted it, and it's not only been a good habit, but I feel like it's also been great for this type of stuff as well, and for my spiritual side. So if anyone is interested, TM has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I know a few people checked it out. And I don't know if you know about it, but transcendental meditation is sitting in silence. That's exactly what it is. You're not focused on anything. You're focused on nothing. Super simple to learn and super effective. When I do it, I enjoy it too. I got to get better at doing it, but I enjoy it when I do it. So little habit I'm trying.
That's actually how Esther Hicks developed her relationship with Abraham.
Through TM?
Yeah. She would sit in silence for 15 minutes a day at a time. And all of a sudden her nose started moving like this. And she was like, why is my nose moving? And then she realized she was drawing letters with her nose, and they were communicating with her. And then she started telling Jerry to write down the letters, and then the letters turned into words, and the words turned into statements, and then she just started receiving.
That totally makes sense. If, like I said, for those that have studied TM, I mean, that's your body can do weird things that like unknowingly up. You can like sway. A whole bunch of things can happen. It's completely magical when you do it. So highly recommend it. Who else has something that we haven't mentioned that you use to stay connected to your goals, and to stay in a high vibration is probably a better thing? Liz, Greg? Hi, man, amigo!
Amigo! So one of the things, Brian, that I just kind of constantly remind myself of the simplicity of how we are. Just it is simple, right? We overcomplicate things as human beings or becomings. But my affirmation that I stick with throughout the day is it simple? I'm thankful, and I'm at peace. And I just sometimes I'll repeat that. It's simple. I'm thankful. I'm at peace. So whenever, if you're ever, things come across our plates, on different levels all the time, but just keeping things simple, keeping things in vibration, just allows you to download things, very fast, very efficient. And just, I think it just keeps, I always just go back to the simplicity of our existence. And just really, that always resonates with me. And it keeps me very aligned with not only my vibration, but everyone else's around me as well.
I love that. I had a couple of chants that I now that you mentioned, I didn't realize I do this. I say easy, calm, and effortless.
Yes.
Easy, calm, and effortless. And anybody that knows me, when I talk to you guys, it's with ease and calm and flow, but easy, calm, and effortless. And I know when I run, I say health, wealth, God, and love. Health, wealth, God, and love. Just auto-suggesting the idea. And it's just like a chant, I guess you would say, when I'm running on the treadmill. So love it. Yeah.
One other thing, and I think I learned this from a Joe Dispenza meditation that I really find to be extremely helpful as well. But that breathing, where you literally connect from the pineal gland to your pituitary gland, and you literally like strengthen it and then contract the muscles, so you're energetically bringing everything to the top of your mind, and you hold it, and you slowly release, and you do that multiple times. There's a sense of release that happens that is phenomenal. And I'm a huge believer, the more that we release, the more that we have space for elevation, right? So it's that kind of that physical exercise through breathing techniques, but contracting your muscles all the way up to your brain. And that's like connecting literally like.
Yeah, that's more of like a focused meditation where you're focusing on body parts, releasing chakras. And absolutely, I've heard a lot about that. I haven't studied that, but I get why it works. Yeah.
So
and when you talked about releasing, again, going back to TM, transcendental meditation, that has more health benefits than when you're in the deepest of sleeps. It's more recharging, more beneficial, better for your health than even when you're in the deepest of sleeps. I found that fascinating because you're not asleep, but you're transcending, you're connecting to source.
Right. And going back to that healing and releasing, I think it's just so important for people to discuss and kind of really lean into, because I believe that we as humans are like a full container, right? And so we are fully complete. And in order for us to elevate, we have to release. And if everybody's been through this personal growth, you kind of go through the cycle of growth that cycles, and then you end up hitting a ceiling. And if we notice a certain pattern that's coming, it's because another lift has to happen. In order for that to happen, that release has to occur. And what I find so mind-blowing is, as you know, this program that we talk about and thinking into results and paradigms, you know, every single cell in our body carries with it programming and paradigms. So think about that, right? We have gazillion cells in our bodies, and every single cell has a program and paradigms. So there's so many that we're unaware of, and which is exactly why, as you go through and just being present to be able to know, like, what is it that I need to release, and to be able to heal, address it, close the gap, and then greatness happens again and again.
Yeah, and it's funny when you get down to the cellular level, like, and I forget what the number is, but we're releasing millions of dead cells that we're creating and releasing millions of cells a day, right? That there's been different numbers, but your entire body, all of it, your skin, bones, eyes, brain, everything, either 7 or 11 years, but over a period of time, you are not you at all again. So what we're thinking while that's going on is programming those new cells. That's why I think it's hugely important to get into an attitude of gratitude, which just means you're just always grateful. Even if the world's in chaos, you're living from the inside out. I just think it's a supremely healthy thing to focus on and to build the programs for. Peggy, you've had your hand up for a bit.
Hi, I just put my hand up. This is amazing, as are all the calls. But there's something that Dan and I were introduced to, and I haven't used it in a while, but now I'm going to start again, and it's called a heart math.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody's, Joe Dispenza's, there's a place called the Heart Math Institute, and Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, basic concept, you know, Joe says that your mind sends the image out and your heart draws it back into you. And so there's a mechanism, this thing, Dan can probably show you his, but basically you would clip it to your ear and you go through this breathing. It's a guided breathing exercise. And for someone like myself, who's pretty left brain and had a hard time getting into my body, into the feeling of it, it builds this heart-mind coherence that literally they can study and verify the charge that comes out of your heart. So yeah, Dan dropped I would highly recommend getting one. I think they're $100, and they go through your phone through a mobile app, but it's pretty cool experience.
Very cool. Appreciate that. Love it. Love it. A lot of tips and tricks and stuff. This is a really good mastermind. I love it. I just wanted to get back to basics because we've been in the elite. I think we forget some of the very basic things from like your first days in TIR and working with the matrix, or whatever your first experiences with Bob is. There's some just very basic things that I think be helpful to get back to. So anybody else have any things that you do different or anything you want to add before we wrap up? Or questions on anything, Antonio?
Mine has to do with children. So when I talk to parents and they tell me, you know, if they have like a hard day or, you know, something happened or anything like that, the place where they find immediate solace is in the eyes of their own children, where it's like a very strong, dissipating, powerful moment where you are, in essence, kind of experiencing consciousness within itself. So for me with my wife, like that's my best friend and that's the woman I love and that's my soulmate. And I love her more than anything. And then half of my child is her and the other half is me. And this little baby girl just stares at you. And when she does, like everything absolutely dissipates. And I think a big part of that is because she is free from a lot of, especially at her age, like she's free from a lot of like negative programming, a lot of,
Oh, 100%, right?
she's not in, yeah, she's not in an environment where it's like there's like abuse or yelling, or it's just like it's very loving. And so there's that. And she tends to have a strong fascination to crystals. Crystals have been riddled throughout human history for thousands of years of the power of what crystals have. They're used in scientific instrument, in microchips and everything. And there's different properties with different crystals. And she's really fascinated by them. And there's times where like I tend to touch one, whether it's a rose quartz or black tourmaline or something like that, like they have a huge power with you. So I think when you compound those things with meditation, with your child as they sleep, next to a cat, holding crystals, like you, so that's something that like I've done before. And that's really, really powerful. I think the most powerful is I think when they just kind of look at you. And I think that there's nothing that stops me in my tracks more than that.
No, I love that. I think you're hitting on something. A brand new child has no programming, the purest form of consciousness that we know, right? And like I said, in your case, she happens to be in an amazing energy with you and Kathleen. Not always so, unfortunately, with most children, but in your case. So I think that's the same thing with dogs too, and animals for some people. They're just the purest form of nature, I guess. So dogs are very calming. I think young kids can be very calming. Crystals, I have a theory on. I think crystals will do exactly what you think they do. The power of the subconscious mind. It's an element. So is a diamond. So is gold. And electricity conducts through different things, different ways, which is just energy flow. But if you really believe crystals will work, they'll work. And if you really believe they won't, they won't. That's just my opinion. Because we're always channeling energy. So if we think that thing's going to channel, I guess, God energy to and through us, because they're so conductive and they conduct energy so well, I think there's a little bit of belief that goes along with lucky horseshoes and lucky rabbit's feet and things like that. It's like, so whatever works, I guess, is what I would say. Yun and then Maddie.
And Tony, if you don't mind me asking, how old is the baby?
Shit. She's almost gonna
AJ's
be
age.
Yeah, just like yeah, she's coming in around close to 2 months or 2 years in February, whatever that is.
Because we got into this content when our daughters were about like 9 and 6 or something like that. And with that said, you know, it's one of the things they absolutely do provide that, you know, all of the emotions that you just mentioned. And for me, they also show me the contrast, right? Like if they start acting out or whatnot, I know that something energetically is within me that I'm suppressing or that I need to address, right? So it works for me the opposite way as well, like where they teach me the lessons. One of the things that I wanted to add about crystals, I'm right there with you, Brian, yet the belief that I have is whether it's crystals, oracle cards, chakras, astrologies, all of these things, it's the collective conscious belief systems that create the power of what is, right? So I believe, like, if you think about it, it's so powerful, us as being magical beings, that collective energy and collective thoughts, like we can create any belief system moving forward, anything. So, you know, like, I look at someone like Ivan, who is globally impacting, and he creates this mindset around, you know, philanthropy and all of this stuff. And the more mantra, the more people that buy into it, it just becomes, and it creates it for so many generations to come. Just like lack and fear has been the programming for many generations, right? Like it's just so powerful.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Maddie?
I had a question for the group, or to pose to the group, because, you know, we have universal laws, right? So we all know that no matter how much we brainwash ourselves to believe that gravity is not real, like it is. So I'm wondering, like, where's the line, you know, because crystals could vary. It's universal that crystals have this magical energy to them. I haven't studied much about them, but like, are there laws that we just don't know how to work in harmony with yet, but they exist because there are laws to the universe that we all cooperate with, because we know that no matter how much we think our ways out of it, if we jump off a cliff, we're going to die every time.
It's important to recognize spirit, intellect, and body. Most of the universal laws that we talk about are in the physical world, not the spiritual world. There's no gravity in spirit.
Yeah. I'm not looking for an answer. I was just posing a question to the group.
Giving my opinion, yeah. Because when we talk about cause and effect, that's in the physical world. Or transmutation of energy from, right? That's physical. So most of what we're calling these universal laws are physical. Relativity, big and small, we're talking about objects, physical objects. And there's no big or small spirit. Spirit just is, right? So I think it's very important. It's a brilliant question to ask, Maddie, because it is important to understand that most of what we talk about, these universal laws, are because you guys have physical goals. So we talk about cause and effect, vibration, that's physical, that's not spiritual. So it's important to understand where, because when we remove ourselves from this physical body, there'll be no resistance. We go back to source, we are one, at least that's what I understand, and all the resistance goes away. So it's very important to understand that most of what Bob talks about are physical physics, universal physics principles. Ivan, you had your hand up, or Greg or Liz, one of the crew?
Yes, my friend. So there is something that came to mind with what Maddie was saying on the universal laws. And in my book that you all have it in your house, you will find inside there that I talk about the natural law of enhancement or natural law of improvement. So that's one law that I feel I like a lot, which is the fact that if others' person life is in a better condition, your life will be in a better condition. So that's something that we can think with. If your wife life is in a better condition, your life will be in a better condition. If so, it's all about moving from personal experience in life to coexistence experience in life. Like how many better experience I can create in other people's lives instead of focusing on how I can have a better experience in life. So it's just focusing on other people's life experiences, how I can enhance that instead of, how I can be better myself today. If we focus less on that, because when you are thinking in how you can have a better life yourself, you go introverted and you start thinking. And I want to share something that I do, which is also another law, which I call it the law of flowing instead of, and it's also in my book, because if you look at life, it's not like every time that life is not going well, in my viewpoint, Brian, is you have a reach, like something is like they're stuck. Something is they're stuck. So there is a communication that is not being given. There is a communication that you're not willing to receive. Something that is there stuck. And if you allow me to share the screen, I want to share a video that I think is one of the videos I love the most. It's 1 minute and 50 seconds that shows this, how the law of flows versus, or the law of movement instead of the law of stack or the law of ridges actually works. So if you can allow me to do that, Brian, that will be super awesome.
Yeah, already did.
Awesome. So let me see.
Dear friend, do you mind if I have a word? It won't take much of your time, I promise. Let's skip the introductions, as we know each other quite well. Yes, it's me speaking, January the 1st. I know it hasn't been exactly easy since we last saw each other, but I'm here to remind you that we're about to meet again very soon. And so I thought I'd share a piece of advice. A word, really. But one that will help you get through the other 364 days with ease. And the word is movement. That's right, movement. I'd love to see you start the year doing just that. Moving. And I don't just mean the exercise kind. I mean movement of the spirit, of the soul. Move, so you can move someone else's heart. Move, so you can find the inspiration to create, to invent. You see, when you're moving, there's no time for fear, for doubts, because it pushes you forward, makes you stronger, wiser. So take my word, write it down on a napkin, put it in your smartphone. Movement inspires. And when put into action, it will make every single day of your year count. Starting with me, your friend, January the 1st.
Love it. Love that. That's a great way to end the mastermind. Thanks for that, Ivan. Appreciate it. Actually, put that in the WhatsApp chat. Maybe some people want to, that'd be a good thing to play every morning. It's part of your routine. Whatever works. So
Yeah.
move, baby. Awesome, everybody. Well, thanks for a great mastermind. Thanks for pouring in. I love all the comments and the tips and the tricks and the things. If you had a link today, just share it in the WhatsApp group so we can all get to it. And have a blessed week. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, amigos.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Take care.
amigos.